make it go live. Okay, now we're ready to go. Let's try that one more time. Here we go. All right there. Hey, data lovers, and welcome to another exciting episode of I Love Data Fridays here at the International Data Evaluation Center on the campuses of The Ohio State University. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. If you hear me laughing to myself, it's because Akeisha and I just did a whole introduction here and I forgot to hit the start streaming button on our YouTube live session. So this is actually take number 2. Okay, but let's get into it, folks. Today's topic, we've got a special I Love Data Fridays here. Today we're going to be talking about our reading recovery follow-up study. And I have Dr. Akeisha Jones here with me from the Center for Research and Education and Social Policy. And we will be talking about the cohort number 2 data collection procedures. So, hey, who's talking data to you? Of course, you've got me, Jeff Breimer-Bashore, Director of IT and Operations here at IDEC. And speaking also with us from the Center for Research and Education and Social Policy at the University of Delaware, we have Dr. Akeisha Jones. Akeisha, let's say hi one more time.
Hello again.
All right, excellent. Good. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about our agenda today. So we're going to have a presentation about the Reading Recovery Follow-Up Study, and it's going to focus on the data collection procedures for cohort number 2. And this presentation will be in 2 parts. Akeisha's going to start out and talk about an overview of the study and procedures that that will happen when you enter data on their Qualtrics website, and then I will take over briefly to talk about data entry on the IDEC website. And then at the end, we will do a question and answer session, and you can submit your questions in real time at www.slido.com right there on my screen. And when you get there, you just enter event X171. So, all right. Now, when we switch screens here, I will also put up that event URL, question URL, so you can see it throughout there. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk a little data. I'm going to turn things over to Akeisha. Akeisha, give me 2 seconds to drag your screen over. Let me hit escape there. And there. All right, Akeisha, it is all yours.
Thank you, Jeff. Hello, everyone. My name is Akeisha Jones, as Jeff stated, and I am here to introduce a follow-up study for Reading Recovery, our initial study that we had, and some of the data collection procedures that we are asking you to help us participate in. Feel free to ask your questions along the way. I'm going to go over the instruments as well as an overview. So some of you may remember participating in the previous study, but our original study of reading recovery was a scale-up study, and it found evidence of large impacts of reading recovery on first grade students' literacy. This study is intended to understand if those impacts were sustained through students' 3rd and 4th grade years. So this study is funded by IES. It's a 3-year study. We are in the 1st year of the study. And our goal here is to have help to ask for your assistance in providing some of the data so that we can answer the questions in this follow-up study. We will be requesting that you do complete both a survey as well as upload state standardized test score data for the students that we're looking at. If you're on this call, you should be in cohort 2. So that means your students were in 1st grade in the 2012-13 school year, and that your school had at least 7 reading recovering students and at least 2 tested non-instructed students. That was the sample that's the sample that we're using for the follow-up study. We will talk about this a little bit later on this webinar, but we are asking for either the teacher leader or the reading recovery teacher designated by a teacher leader to collect the data for us. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. You can assign those through the pre-survey. How do we thank you? You will receive a $75 gift card for helping us with this study. That's for the collection of both the test score data and the survey data for each school. So if you are a teacher leader, for instance, for several schools, you will receive a $75 gift card for each school that you provide us the data on. So as I've stated before, we've already finished data collection for cohort 1. We are now collecting cohort 2. We're starting now in March and hoping to conclude around May with the data collection for cohort 2. And those would be those students who are in first grade in the 2012-13 school year. So the activities kind of go in a sequential order. We'll start with a pre-survey, which is where you will be asked to assign or identify the person who will collect the data for each school. Then we will ask you to upload standardized test score data, and then the completion of the student school survey. So beginning on Monday, March 19th, you will receive an email from us asking for you to complete the pre-survey. We call it a pre-survey because this is where you will, it will be sent to the teacher leaders. The teacher leaders can decide, you can decide if you want to collect the survey and test score data for each school, or if you want to assign a reading recovery teacher at the school to collect that data. The pre-survey, which I'll walk through just quickly in a second, will also include the list of students that we'll ask you to collect data on, so you won't have to dig deep for that. This is an example of the first screen, and this is just a sample. That's why you only see 3 students, but this is an example of what you'll see in the pre-survey. It will basically say, this is the school here is Willard. Please provide us with the name and email address of the person who will be collecting the data for the students in Willard. And at the bottom, you will see the students that we will be looking for data on. If you have more than one school, if you scroll down that screen, you'll see school number 2, school number 3, so on and so forth. And then all you need to do is provide us with a name and an email address. And if it's yourself, simply put your name and email address for each school. And once you're done, you'll receive a screen like this, and it'll simply say thank you. And if you have any questions, you can email us. So that's the pre-survey. You will have a week to complete that. Once you receive the pre-survey and you know which kids you'll be collecting the data on, you can go ahead and start to upload this test score data. We're asking for you to upload the standardized state test score data, not the Reading Recovery OS data. And what that will help us do is help us to understand the long-term impacts statistically on reading performance, as well as school level variability. So how much difference there is in impacts across schools. So Jeff, I'm going to hand it over to you really quick. If you could talk a little bit about how they upload the test score data in IDEC.
All right, thanks, Akeisha. So ladies and gentlemen, as Keisha was saying there, the IDEC portion of this, you will be entering your assessments. Third assessments on our students are tested, not instructed, and reading recovery students from 3rd and 4th grade, and we'll be entering their scale scores from reading or English language arts state assessments. And for each of those assessments, we'll put in the name of the test, the actual scale score on the test, and then if in case a test score is missing, a reason why the test data is missing, and this data will go directly to IDEC. Keisha, if you could advance the slide there one.
Okay.
I'm going to show you guys how to do it on the website in a second, but in general, these are the steps. Like we said, the test data is submitted on the IDEC website. It can be entered by either the teacher leader or teacher. Now, the one case where it's where a teacher can't do it is if a teacher was let me start that over. So one case where the teacher leader will have to do it is a scenario where the teacher in the 2012-13 school year is no longer a part of reading recovery, the data will have to be entered by the teacher leader. But you can have a teacher look up the data, a current teacher look up the data for you and give it to you. So when we get to the website, when teachers get to the website and enter the data, all they have to do is click the Save button. There's no need to click that Submit button and have it go into the, ready for the teacher leader to check mode. Just have them hit the Save button. So let's take a quick look at how we do it. I'm going to drag over another screen here. Here we are. Here's a copy of the website. So I am on the student data entry page, our data and school assignments page on the student data tab. And what we will do is, the first thing to enter this data, we will go over to this school year drop-down box on the left-hand side, and we will select 2012-13 from the drop-down box. This will cause the website to refresh. There we go. And then you will notice on the page a new column on the right-hand side that says U of Delaware follow-up, all right? And the students that we are expecting data for, you will see a little data entry page there. So all you have to do is click on that. And that will bring up the data entry screen, and there's two columns. One column, the left-hand column for our third grade data, our right-hand column for our fourth grade data. Each of those columns have the same exact questions. The first one just wants to know what was the name of the reading English language arts assessment given. If there wasn't one, you just type none. If you do have a score, then go ahead and enter that scale score for that assessment. And then if the score is missing, just briefly explain why. So this is the part where if a student has moved out of the school district and is no longer a part of the school district, where you can say the student is no longer in the school district or some other reason why. Now, if you are a teacher leader, and I'm wondering to see if I have an example here. We ran into this last time. Here, I'm going to use this student right here. If you're a teacher leader and you're entering the data for a teacher that's no longer a part of reading recovery, actually your first step to do this is that you'll have to click the Acquire button right here. So you'll acquire the student's record because it's not in your control yet. And now you'll see that you get your Save button. Now you'll be able to enter the data and click the Save button and have that data be saved into our system. So there you go. That is how we enter the data on the IDEC website. So, okay. So Keisha, that's it. I'll turn it back over to you there.
Thank you. Is my screen showing? While he's doing that, so the reason why I had Jeff kind of intervene with the test score data is because we are definitely emphasizing that the uploading of test score data this time around. So we're asking for the test score data to be uploaded even before the start of the survey. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So the survey itself, what we'll be collecting are information on whether there were changes in administration at the school, and then we're looking to understand students' literacy interventions in progress from 1st to 4th grade. So we're interested in whether the student was retained, whether they were replaced on an IEP for reading specifically, whether they were continuously monitored, and the actual type of literacy intervention they received in any of those years after 1st grade. So this is what you will see in the actual survey. It starts off with an introduction that tells you about the 2 sections of the survey. It lists the students first, and it asks you, have you uploaded your test score data in IDEC? If you have not, it will prompt you to remind you to go back into IDEC and upload that test score data before you continue with the survey. So that's the reason why I had Jeff go ahead and highlight the importance of that. So once you have uploaded the test score data, you can continue through the survey. We'll ask you if you can identify the students in the 2015-16 school year. So ideally, if that student matriculated each year to the next grade level in the 2015-16 school year, they would be in the fourth grade. But that might not always be the case, so we're asking for you to think about it based on their academic year, and we'll ask later on what grades they were in. So in this case, you can identify whether the school here is Willard. So you can identify whether they attended the school in that year, whether they attended a different school in the same district, or whether you can't locate the student. If you can't locate the student for that particular year, the students should drop out of the survey. What if they attended a different school in the same district, and the next screen will ask you whether you can locate the literacy intervention for those students. If you can, they'll continue through the survey, and if you can't, they'll drop out of the survey. And then the actual questions. So these are the questions. I think there are about 10, or actually there's about 7 questions in this part of the survey. You are able, once you get to this screen, you are able to print out the survey. You may need to ask other teachers information along the way, former teachers, counselors. So we've made it user-friendly so that you can print out the survey at this stage, walk around, fill out the information, and come back to the survey. Also to be noted is you can always use the back button throughout this survey. If you think you've made a mistake, if you think you've made a correction, or you think you need to make a correction rather. And the link that is provided once you receive the email for the survey. So the survey itself will be launched on Monday, April 9th. So once you receive that link in your email, you can always go back into that email and click that link, and it will pick up where you left off in the survey. So you don't need a new survey link or anything like that. So we've made it very user-friendly for you to take the time you need to collect the survey data. You have over a month of time to complete this. And if you need an extension, just feel free to ask us. It's not a problem. So the first question, true question in the survey asks about school administrator changes from 2013-14 through 2015-16 and 17. Then it asks about the grade levels for each student. So what grade were they in the 13-14, 14-15, and 15-16? And this is really intended to understand whether a student was retained. It then will ask about whether the students had an IEP with a reading designation in those consecutive years after their first grade year. It asks, was the student continuously monitored for reading and problems in those consecutive years? And then for each student, it's asking the name or type of intervention they may or may not have received in those consecutive years. So there is an option at the bottom for none. So if they did not have an intervention, a reading intervention in any of these years, you can always select none. But if they were involved in a reading intervention, please select that intervention. And if it's not listed, there's a list of about 25 to 30 on the survey, but if it's not listed, there is space for you to write in the name of the intervention that the student was involved in. So you'll be asked this question. So if you look at the top of this screen, you'll see that this is for Florence Smith. It's a pseudonym for Florence Smith, but you'll be asked this question for each of the students in your school that you were able to locate. And once you are done with that screen, all those questions are on one screen, you'll see this screen. So if you move forward past this screen, you are not able to go back. So this screen is kind of alarming you to say, please check your answers, make sure they're correct, make sure you don't want to make any more changes, because once you click continue here, it will end the survey. And it just provides our contact information, and we probably need to check that is the end of the survey. And it will tell you that your response has been recorded. So once again, this survey, the pre-survey will be launched on March 19th, and that's where you'll identify who will collect the survey data or data collection, survey and test score data. And then there'll be another webinar for everyone. So the teacher leaders are just on this call, but there will be some teachers who will be identified through the pre-survey who were not on this call, who might want to learn more about the survey and this study. So we'll have another webinar on March 29th. and launch the actual survey on April 9th. So we are hoping that you will participate in the study because the more we know about reading recovery and its impacts, the more we can help student learning. We also have, oh, sorry about that. We also have a couple of resources for you. I know what's going on here. We do have, and I can share these with you in an email. We do have some web resources for you with some frequently asked questions and just a review of the data collection activities. And we have a studies webpage, but I'm not sure what's going on with my computer. So I'm sorry, I can't show you those links, but I'll make sure that those links are sent to you some way, somehow. And if you have any questions for me or for the team, I'm here representing the team today. There's about 5 of us who work on the project. And so if you have any questions for us about the survey or any of our data collection activities, you can email us at crest-rr@udel.edu. And I think that's all I have for now, unless there are any questions, Jeff.
Okay. Yeah, we actually do have one question up on the screen. I'll read it off here to you, Keisha. It says, and I think I know this one too. It's, when should we expect to be notified as to which of our schools will be participating in this stage of the follow-up study?
So yes, so that will be in the pre-survey link that you will receive. The list of schools will be on that first page along with the students that will need the data on.
And that's
so
the one coming out school, March 19th.
March 19th, yeah.
Okay. All right, next question says, I am unclear as to whether participation is at the school district or the school level. If it was in the previous cohort, will it also be in this one? So I think a two-part question. So question number 1, I am unclear as to whether participation is at the school district or the school level. So Keisha, do you mind if I answer this first one?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So it is at the school level. So we assign schools to do tested, not instructed at the individual school level. So you will have, it's possible you will have some schools in a district that are doing it for this round, and it's possible that and others won't be. It's also possible that you may have. Maybe I'm making this answer too complicated. The answer is it's done at the school level. You may have some schools that are participating in the school district and others may not be. So it just kind of depends. All right, if it was in the previous cohort, will it also be in this one? So once again, ladies and gentlemen, it kind of depends. Since we're focusing on the I3 schools, and these were schools that went through the I3 study. The schools went through a 3-year rotation. So schools, in theory, only were a part of the tested, not instructed category every 3 years. So if a school was a part of the last cohort, it probably won't be a part of this cohort. That is until on March 19th when somebody tells me, Jeff, you were wrong, and I have a school that one. So. But in general, it should not be.
Okay.
We'll wait here for any other questions.
And my computer's acting crazy, so
well,
I stopped sharing my screen because I don't know what's going on.
That's all right. I'll just put the questions up over everything there, so we're good.
Okay.
As we're waiting to see if we have any questions, I'll say this to everyone. So Akeisha gave their support email address. So in general, questions that are relating to any questions related to entering data about the students and their schools and whether they were retained or not, you can generally direct to Akeisha's team. If you have trouble entering data that involves the assessments, the scale scores, you can contact the IDEC help desk. If you're unsure who to contact, just email the IDEC help desk and we'll triage it and get it to the right spot. All right, I don't see any more new questions. We'll give it another 30 seconds here, Keisha.
Okay.
And then just to reiterate what Akeisha said earlier, so this video, our primary audience is you teacher leaders right now, and then we're going to be doing a follow-up video for teachers. All right, here we go. Another question that says, will the school be identified if there was not an I3 funded teacher there?
So do you want me to answer that, Jeff?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so in this phase of the study, as it stands, we are only including those schools who had an I3 instructor. So we are looking to get funding for the non-I3 schools, but yes, this will only be for cohort 2 I3 schools.
All right. And Akeisha, I have a copy of your, let me grab a copy of your slides.
I really don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to get...
I think the ghost has taken over.
Yeah, all right, here, let me do that. That way we can, at least people can see your contact information.
Oh, man.
I'm working on that, folks. Just give me a second. You can see my awesome Darth Vader background there. Let's put that up. All right. Follow-up study, March.
There we go.
8th webinar. Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. All right.
Okay.
Let me get those up again for everybody. Thank you for your patience, folks, as we work through some difficulties there. So here we go. We have our study webpage right up there. It's the http://www.cresp.udel.edu RR follow-up. And then down below that is the sort of the overview of the data collection activities. Same URL, but you just put RR follow-up _ data collection. And then a frequently asked page question. And this has been updated with stuff that we got from the first round from cohort number 1. And that's just the cresp.udel.edu/RR follow-up FAQs. Questions and concerns, as I was talking about. If you have any questions specifically about the study or survey-related questions, you can contact CRESP directly at cresp-rr@udel.edu. If you have questions about test data or just general questions on what's going on, just give us a buzz over at the IDEC help desk at idecweb.us. If you're not sure who to email, just email us at the help desk and we'll help you figure it out. I'm going to look.
And Jeff, a quick reminder that this webinar will be saved,
yes.
Right? Is that correct?
Yeah, so if you just, you'll be able to come back and watch this webinar again. And the same with your teachers. When we do the teacher webinar, it will be recorded and you can point your teachers back to that as well. All right, Akeisha, I am not seeing any additional questions here, so...
Okay.
So we will... I guess we will call it good there. Let me bring up my closing screen and my closing music. Where's my...
And can I just mention one more thing?
Absolutely, yeah, go for it.
So on March 19th is when you'll receive the pre-survey. The email will come from us here at CRESP. If you do not receive the email for whatever reason, please first check your spam folder and then contact us because we have had a little bit of trouble with spam folders and such. But look for the first email to come from us on March 19th.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will say thank you so much, Akeisha. Thank you for your time today talking about the study and everything. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. And we will talk data to you later. I'm almost there, and stop.